I was recently asked who my favorite leaders were, and while I was racking my brain, one name that popped up for me for sure, not necessarily a political leader, but a thought leader for sure, and a feminist icon as well, was Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the former Supreme Court judge and more popularly known as Notorious RBG. Here are my top 5 takeaways from her life as seen through the documentary Notorious RBG. Hello, I'm Sandhya and welcome to Dynamic Living. So number 1 for me was that Ruth grew up at a time where there were several feminist icons. Gloria Steinem was a very popular voice at the time, and also the entire feminist movement, which seemed to be militant and outspoken. And yet Ruth was very quiet. She was an introvert, and she played to those strengths. She chose her own path of how she wanted to create change for herself and for the world around her. So that was such a powerful lesson for me. We often pick heroes or icons and we think that we need to emulate them. We can learn from their lessons in that they're creating change. But the best way that we can create change is by really looking at ourselves and our personalities and finding a path that is unique for us. Number 2, and this might sound a little controversial for the feminist viewpoint, but I don't think it is at all, which is to find your anchor. Now, we all are in different levels of self-sufficiency, stability within us, and we all sort of need something to hold on to in order to steady ourselves, in order to anchor ourselves. In an ideal world, we'd all be completely self-reliant, and we'd be able to trust our inner instincts, our inner strength, and know that that's all that we need to get by in the world. But I think recognizing sometimes that we do need other people, and that it's okay to lean on, take help from people around us, is also key for us to be able to get ahead in the world. It might take us several lifetimes, arguably, for us to find that complete self-reliance that many philosophies talk about. So Ruth was a person who found her anchor in her husband, and he provided that foil, that support, that quiet strength with such grace and dignity, and she leaned on him quite openly and was never ashamed to admit that she got her strength from him. So I think being able to voice that, accept that with grace is in fact enhancing your own strength and not taking away from it. Number 3, in order to make yourself heard, you don't need to shout. Again, Notorious RBG, you would imagine when I'd sort of heard about her when I was first in law school, I always thought that she was going to be like a great orator, and I imagined that she would pronounce her judgments in a way that had everybody quivering in their seats and absolutely silenced. She did silence the courtroom and many a forum, but it was with an absolutely quiet demeanor, with a voice that could barely be heard. And yet, when she broke that silence, her words were so valuable that people stopped to listen. And we're going to go into how that came to be in the next couple of points that I'm going to cover. Number 4, strategize. Sometimes we feel that when we take on a cause, we become sort of blinkered in our vision, and sometimes that's the only thing that we can see. If we believe that feminism means fighting the atrocities that were committed against women, we'll only be able to see those atrocities. We will not be able to see sometimes the good that women have also earned, or indeed that the opposite gender could actually do wonderful things for us. RBG was very strategic. She took on cases not just for women, she took on cases of men as well. She took on cases not just to defend blacks, she took on cases for people of other nationalities and other races as well. By being able to show that she could see 2 sides to the problem, that made her so much more credible when she did choose to speak up and spoke. And when she did speak up, people would stop all the more to listen, because they knew that her viewpoint would be a considered one and not just through the filter of her beliefs and her biases. Point number 5 is change happens one step at a time. Notorious RBG may have had idealistic dreams like many of us have of wanting to change the world and for everybody to live as one. And sometimes that can be, one, overwhelming, two, sometimes unrealistic. And because of that, we often get paralyzed into inaction, or we just get completely despondent. Neither of these happened with her. She started and she chipped away, one step at a time at all of the institutions that she felt were wronging women, were wronging the people who were suppressed or disenfranchised in other ways. And one step at a time, she didn't always win. She was in fact known as the voice of dissent. But through that voice strengthening over the years, it then became the dominant narrative. She didn't lose hope and she kept showing up. So this was my extremely valuable, for me, takeaway from the documentary, The Notorious RBG. I'll urge you to spend some time watching it. As an aside, there were a couple of things that I loved as well. She prioritized exercise and looking after herself and being with her family. I think these are essential lessons for us. You can't conquer the world if you can't look after yourself and if you don't have a body that will hold up for you. I also loved that she could laugh at herself. She was caricatured on Saturday Night Live, and she was able to really laugh out loud and enjoy the portrayal of herself. So I think these were also two essential characteristics that held her in good stead. I hope you enjoyed my analysis of Notorious RBG's life. She certainly is my hero, and I'd like to know what you think about this. If you know of any other fangirls or fanboys of Notorious RBG, do be sure to share this video and do subscribe to Dynamic Living. Thank you for watching.